Good afternoon to you. We are finally back on XAUUSD, and if you've been with me in the last 3 to 4 weeks, we've been expecting bullish momentum on the gold, and we had a couple of profits taken during the upper week. Now we are in a situation where the daily time frame is giving me a perspective into another opportunity building up at the moment. The first and first is this: there is this bullish trend line that has been holding since the beginning of the year, and this is annotated on the chart with the green dotted line. And as we can see, price since the strong impulse leg that began this year, we saw that price came back into the buy opportunism we've identified 4 weeks ago, and there was quite a consolidation phase in that area and a rejection of 1900 a couple of times before we saw another breakout of structure during the early part of this month. Now, prices retracing back into that trend line, and we are of the opinion that price might continue to the upside. However, before I go further to the lower time frame, it is pertinent that I made mention that there is a possibility that price could break down this trend line, a rejection into that trend line, and price crashing down into this demand zone. This demand zone is still very, very solid before price will go back to the upside. So in that regard, we need to be very, very conscious and at the same time on standby in case anything of such is going to happen. So in that regard, we need to have this area as a center where anything decisive can actually happen. A bullish momentum can spark and a bearish momentum can actually come in. And whatever thing that happens from this area, I think is going to be very, very huge. So that being said, scaling down to a much lower time frame on the 4 hours time frame. One thing I noticed on the 4 hours time frame, if we zoom into what is happening here, we'll notice that after this impulse leg that began early this month, we saw price action do a retracement into 1940 area, and we have a structure at this area that gives an impression of a double bottom structure, which is also a very strong reversal pattern. So in this regard, we'll be looking for a breakout of structure as a signal, then a confirmation into the neckline area before a complete uptrend continuation happens. So the first thing we want to do here is this. We want to identify where our key levels is, our new key level. And our new key level is around, will be around this area, will be around 1945 area, which is which is now which happens to be an area where price has actually done a retest or retest in some of its support or resistance at one point in time. As we can see what is happening here, we see one, we saw a rejection, resistance there. Then we saw a resistance and a breakout on the middle of March. Then we saw a rejection, which is a resistance too, on the beginning of the month before we finally saw a breakout of structure um, later on in the month. So this level is very, very strong at this moment. So I want to I want to label this area now 1945. Good. Okay. So that's our new key level, and this will be our guide going into the next couple of days. So in this regard, we want to be looking for structures above this key level going forward. So what happens here is this. The first thing I did is I'm placing a pending order at 1948.343, where I'm looking at price. If price breaks through, then we could add position at somewhere above. So now, considering this reversal structure here, we have a demand zone around this area, which is also our, we have a demand zone here. Give me a moment, let me allow me to place this inside, and then we give this a light green. Our demand zone is always light, and that's our demand zone with a double structure forming around this area, double bottom structure, which is a very strong reversal pattern. And in this regard, we will be having our the neckline of the double bottom around 19, let me say 1955, thereabout. Let me use my line chart to get a clear perspective. Okay, we have it around 1958 area. That's our neckline. So these are structures that's going to guide us into the next couple of hours or days as we continue to monitor price action. So what we are looking forward to is a move to the upside from this area, rejection of this key level, a breakout of neckline structure, a retest of the neckline, then a possible move to the upside. So this movement will now determine how many trades we are going to put into this one. But at the moment, I only have one pending order right now. So where I'll be looking for price to break through 1948 level before. And if we later on see that we had a breakout of neckline, which is breakout of structure, a retest could welcome another opportunity to add to our existing position. So presently, I have my pending order. I have my take profit target at 1980, which is about 3,100 pips from where the entry point is. However, we still have a very, very long bullish opportunity on this one. And this bullish opportunity is, why I'm saying this is because if you look at the last impulse leg here, the last impulse leg at this point, if we look at the Fibonacci extension of that impulse leg, we'll notice that we have a 1272.2 area around 2030 area. So this is a long-term trade anyway, and let's see if price is actually going to get to that level before we see if price is going to get to that level before we see a reversal pattern that could send price crashing back down into that bullish trend line we identified on the daily time frame. So in that regard, I would like to pause the video at this point in time, and let me remind you, if we have a breakdown of this trend line, then a rejection of that trend line could be a confirmation to send price back down into the buy opportunity zone we identified on a daily time frame. So we really need to be very conscious on this. So I'll pause the video at this point in time, and let's see how price action reacts in the next couple of hours or days. And I will ensure and make sure that I keep you updated in the comment box on my trading view account. Thank you, and do have a wonderful day.